And we're back. You're listening to the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C show. Glad you could join us. Don't forget about, my book. That's right. My book right here. It's a book right here, see? Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet. Get yourself a copy right now. You can get a signed copy by visiting our book club section up on BillyCBoxing.com, or you can go to Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com right now and get yourself a copy or 2 or 6. Christmas is coming, man. It's not that far away. So, catch up, do your Christmas shopping early. And another thing I want to tell you, don't forget about the Billy C Triple G David Lemieux post-fight show, which will be taking place about 5-6 minutes as soon as the official announcement is announced. Tune it in right here on BillyCBoxing.com, on YouTube /Talkin' Boxing, and, of course, on LDL TV. Joining us right now, he's going to give us his 3 favorite fights of the week. He's going to break them down and give us his predictions. Daxx Khan. What's up, Dax?
Hey, how are you doing, Billy C?
Not too bad.
Can I ask you a quick question before we get started? Are you hearing a little static?
Am I hearing static?
Yeah.
No.
Actually, I don't know. There must be something over on your end, because I didn't hear static, and all of a sudden I heard a little bit. So I didn't. Before we get started, I didn't want to know it's getting cut off. Be better if I just would have
it sounds pretty clear. So we'll roll with it. I'm not getting any message that show that we got something that's not cooking. I'll check, but it looks good. Looks good.
All right. We got one very exciting fight this weekend. We got one. Well, actually, we got 2 that's kind of But we have the PBC and NBC, the WBC heavyweight title fight between Deontay Wilder and Johann Dufoss. And we also have at the Tachi Palace Hotel Casino, we got the heavyweight bout between Andy Ruiz and Devin Vargas. And the potential fight of the year candidate, and I know that's an often overused word, but the WBA Super and WBO Unified World Flyweight title bout between Juan Francisco Estrada and Tyson Marquez.
Yeah, I like that fight, and I know we kind of went back and forth, especially today, actually, with the final rankings we worked so hard on. And, that's one of the reasons I felt that Juan Francisco Estrada should have stayed at number 1, because he's been active and everything. But earlier in the show, I don't know if you caught it, but, I think that the popularity of Roman Gonzalez basically got me overridden by you guys. And
Roman has a win over him, too.
Yeah, but that was several years ago, right?
But he still has a win over him, and Roman has dominated since. So either way, Francisco Estrada, is the number 2 guy in that division. And just because you lost to Roman Gonzalez, no shame in that, because everybody so far has lost to Roman Gonzalez.
Well, Roman Gonzalez is popular, and he's exciting, and he's number 1. So, but which one you're going to start with first? You're going to do the Andy Ruiz Devin Vargas fight first?
Yeah, we can start with the Andy Ruiz Devin Vargas fight first. Makes sense. We right here we got Andy Ruiz started making some good noise at first in the division. Very likable guy. The pros on him is he has solid power, and surprisingly enough, for a guy his bulk, he's active during fights. He does a lot of flurries. He likes to work on the inside, and he gets there by jabbing his way in. It's smart boxing, considering for a heavyweight, he has a rather short reach. He likes to mix up his attack, both to the body and the head, in order to slow his opponents down, neutralize them, so we can catch up with them a little bit later, do his best work. The cons on Andy Ruiz is he's flat-footed, and he can be out-jabbed, considering the reach is average at best, and he's not the fastest guy. His power's a bit misleading on paper. He hasn't really knocked out anybody of note. He has a solid chin. Gets hit a little bit too much for me. Once he steps up that caliber of competition, it's going to be a flaw that shortens his career. Guys with solid chins are often too willing to take 2 punches in order to land 1. They rely on that chin to get them through some tough moments. There are also fighters who, after being knocked out for the first time, become damaged goods. Once that switch is turned off, there's no way to repair it. Ruiz would be good at cruiserweight or even a light heavyweight if he can get down to there. I don't know if his frame would allow it. Devin Vargas, the pros on him, he has good head movement and energy in the ring for a heavyweight. Vargas has heart. And like Ruiz, he's willing to take two in order to land one. He's a willing opponent. He won't lay down. In order to beat him, you got to do your job. The cons on him are, while he's willing, he's also very limited, Bill. He, too, should be fighting as a cruiserweight. Vargas is a guy who doesn't hit the gym too much, especially in terms of cutting weight. I don't even think he's a full-time fighter. His punches are wide. He's easy to counter. Not much really about him to talk about, other than the fact that he's a willing opponent. My official pick here, Andy Ruiz Jr. The only reason why I even broke this one down is because Ruiz versus Wilder is a fight we could possibly see down the road. Andy Ruiz Jr. is very similar to Chris Arreola, where he has the ability to make noise. If he can just focus, not get sidetracked, step up his competition a little bit, and put his nose to the grindstone.
Let me tell you some interesting things, Dax. First of all, Andy Ruiz. I was very critical of Andy Ruiz, calling him a fat pig and all those things I said, and a lot of people got on me for that. But I'll tell you what, Andy Ruiz has lost almost 50 pounds, I think, since I was calling him the fat pig. And he seems to have taken a turn, and he seems very serious. And like you said, nobody ever said he wasn't a talented fighter. And I'm not even saying he didn't put the time in the gym. He just didn't look too physically fit, and he's not a big guy height-wise. But I think he's gotten into another level, and he looks good. I'm looking forward to seeing him. He's been out for a little bit. Now, Devin Vargas, I actually know his team, and Devin Vargas, you're 100% right. He works full-time, and he boxes part-time, and very rarely does he put in the time, in the gym. But he has been in the gym consistently for the last 2 months, waiting for an opportunity like this to come up. So we may very well see the best Devin Vargas that we possibly could. And even though he might be at his best, I'm with you. I'm picking Andy Ruiz in this fight. And I actually think that this fight might turn out better than we all anticipated. But
so some guys, just real quick, touch on his build. There's some guys out there who can be incredibly fit when it comes to cardio. Just for some reason, one way or another, no matter how many times they hit the weights or no matter how many sit-ups they're doing that, they won't get that chiseled body. Andy Ruiz Jr. he could be one of those type guys. I know you don't really like MMA, and we don't really talk about it too much, but there's a guy over in MMA by the name of Roy Big Country Nelson, who, he really looks like, he's got a beard, like the Duck Dynasty guys. He's got a stomach that literally just hangs down over his belt line. But I'll tell you what, the guy's as strong and physically fit cardio-wise as any of those top fighters in there. So you can't always be misled by by presentation, what you see on the outside.
Well, let me just tell you this. I stay in top physical condition, and my secret is pizza. I like to eat a lot of pizza, and, pizza keeps me in top physical condition. So, hey, who am I to knock somebody else?
Well, you got that new workout fad, which, has been doing well for you. I know you like to drink while you're working out.
Yeah.
What do you call that? Bacardi, right?
No, scotch. I call it scotch, and they say I'm a workaholic because you mention work, and I go get drunk, but that's besides the point. The second fight, you might as well.
Second fight of the day. We're going to break down the WBC title fight between Deontay Wilder and
Johann
Dufass.
Wait a minute. I might as well tell everyone how you wrote it to me in the email. He writes Johann Doofus. He writes Wilder. He says these are the fights I'm breaking down, Bill. Wilder against Johann Doofus. Doofus.
That wasn't even really a crack on Dufass. That was really more or less
your keyboard.
As you've been saying, and everybody's been saying.
That was your keyboard.
Deontay Wilder should be taking out better challenges than Dufass.
Yeah, I thought it was maybe your keyboard again. Doofus. But anyway. Break down the Wilder.
All right, Wilder, the pros on him is he's tall, he's athletic, he's got a long jab. Wilder has quality footwork, and sure enough, despite his questionable power, I mean, despite his questionable resume, Deontay has power. You know, that's legitimate. He's a one-punch finisher, and what's a good quality that Deontay Wilder has, he knows when his opponent is ready to go. Some guys, when they land a punch that, you know, drops an opponent or stuns them, you know, they'll pause for a second and look to see what happens next. You know, try and figure, is he really hurt? Wait to see what the ref does. Deontay Wilder, when he lands that one punch, you know, he knows whether or not his guy is getting back up, and that's something. That's a trait a lot of fighters with power is credible for, because we also see guys who, you know, they get a little bit too in love with their power and they hit somebody, they get over anxious, and when that opponent does get back up, now all of a sudden, you know, mentally they're kind of stunned because, gee, I thought I had him out of there. What do I do now? You know, Wilder, he's also been showing a lot of poise in the ring. He's been rocked a few times, and he hasn't panicked. That's another thing a lot of power punchers do. You know, he doesn't take foolish risk. He always knows what's going on in the ring, whether it's him delivering the punches or the opponent landing them. They're traits that I think Deontay Wilder should be given more credit for. Anything can happen in a heavyweight fight. He knows it, and so staying in control, not taking foolish risk, are probably his best attributes at the moment. Wilder, for all the criticism he gets, they're well-deserved. His opponent list, other than Berman Stavern, has been very light. Even Stavern, who he won his WBC title from, other than being durable and can go rounds without fading, it's nothing special. Wilder, while using his jab better than ever, sometimes waits too long in between punches. That's why we've seen him countered and backed up against, you know, much lesser competition. While if Wilder solely pumped his jab with a right hand behind it every so often, he'd be a hard fighter to land on. Most of all, he has been shook by these B and C level opponents who are known for their power. What happens when Wilder gets hit by a big puncher, or any heavyweight who manages to get all 200-plus pounds behind their shots? Doesn't matter how good you are. You know what happens in this division. You get hit by a heavyweight with all that weight behind there, you're going to go down. Now, his opponent, Johan Duvas, the pros on him, he's a big guy. He stands 6'5". He has some power. He also has a decent chin. Erkin Tepper, who's a better-than-average puncher, landed some solid shots on Dufas, and never once was he phased, even though he lost that fight. Johan can box, and he has better-than-average stamina. Also a nice tight guard. Johan faced Manuel Char in his last fight. Char is no world beater, but he's slick, and he's a fighter who can give anyone a tough night, and again, he's a guy that knows how to go the distance, which kind of backs up my point with Dupas' stamina. He also has something very positive going in his way with this fight, mystery. There's little to know about him unless you've caught some streams from overseas or watched some promoter reels. That makes him hard to train for. With Wilder having opponents hand-fed to him, this might be a tougher mystery to solve than he expects. The cons on Johan, who is he beating other than Manuel Char, who, as I stated, is a slick boxer who can go around. But other than that, he has virtual wins over virtual unknowns, literally. He also keeps his left hand very low, and because of Wilder's power, that's a bad habit to have. It's a bad habit against any opponent, but especially one who has a goodnight kiss in his gloves with every shot he throws. My official pick here is Deontay Wilder. He's going to have a few surprise moments, and he's going to need to work hard to get the win, but I'm pretty sure he's going to pull this one out.
Yeah, this fight makes me sick. Deontay Wilder makes me sick. Picking Duhaupas makes me sick. You know, so I mean, you know, is Deontay Wilder going to win? Yeah, you know, but what bothers me about this guy is that he says he's the best and all of the things, and, you know, it's a smokescreen, and I can't believe if there's actually any boxing fans out there that buy into this hype, and it scares me, because if there are, that's not a good state that the sport's going to be in. But I'm with you, Deontay Wilder. This opponent was picked for him specifically to win. There were a lot of question marks in his last fight against a similar opponent, Eric Molina. I don't expect him to take any chances. And you know, all of his comments about what a perfect opponent he is. Wilder is still 2.5, almost 3 inches taller than this guy, and if you've seen any footage of him, he's not a chiseled guy. He comes in, you know, with the shape of a Pillsbury Doughboy. So I think he's just happy to be here. They're throwing him a big paycheck, and I'll be surprised if this fight goes 5 rounds.
He's much like a bigger version of Eric Molina, except
right.
Molina's been in against, you know, with some tougher guys.
Right. You're 100% right. He's a taller version of Eric Molina, you know, and as a matter of fact, Eric Molina is probably ranked higher than this guy. It's a joke that Deontay Wilder, and I'm not going to go off on my tangent because I said it already. But Deontay Wilder, as much as I like him as a young, as a kid and doing all the right things, he's believing his own press clippings, and somebody's going to hurt this guy if he ever steps in with a real fighter, which he hasn't done yet. So
it's not that he doesn't have the ability, Bill. We'll just finish on this. He does have the ability to get better. I see improvements. We've spoken before. I followed him in the amateurs. I attended a lot of the amateur cards, and I've seen Wilder get better, and he has every ability in him to get better. He wants to be better, but, it's those around him that are doing him no favors. We've seen it so many times, ruin careers of fighters, and that's exactly what's going to happen. When he gets in there against the guy who he can't get rid of with the power, what's he going to do? And, it's not going to be like where he gets rocked. When he gets in there against the guy who can really deliver, Deontay Wilder's not going to know how to handle that situation. You know what? It's the team you have to blame, not the fighter. You have to make your fighter better slowly. As you guys were talking, you and Larry were talking earlier, as we spoke about yesterday, you have to progress your guy. You can't level him out, especially when he's a world champion.
You can't get better, and this is a guy that certainly didn't pay his dues on his way up. They purchased the title for him, basically. He didn't pay his dues. He didn't get better and better as time went on, and he ends up with the title, and he's still not getting better because they're not raising his level of competition. It's a shame, and when he does get knocked the F out, everybody's going to scatter like cockroaches, and the truth of the matter is that his management, just like Larry and I, just like you just said, like Larry and I were talking about, it's not always the fighter's fault. It's the rest of these guys around him. But I'm with you.
Look at that whole team.
I know.
Of guys that he was with, the ones that have had some success, the other ones that have won world titles, that were on the same Olympic teams as him. They're all, for lack of a better word, I hate to be so harsh, but they're all frauds. I think they are the least talented, whether it's their own fault or their teams behind it, of any of the Olympic teams where we've seen team members become stars or world champions in the sport. These are probably the least exciting and talented out of any of them, any that I can think of in my whole lifetime.
No, I agree. Final fight is arguably the best fight of the weekend, in my opinion. Juan Francisco Estrada going up against Tyson Marquez. What's your thoughts on that one?
No question is this exciting. I love this fight. There's nothing about, I don't think these guys could put on a bad fight if they wanted to. Juan Francisco Estrada, one of the best flyweights in the world outside of Roman Gonzalez. Ever since his loss to Roman Gonzalez, he's beaten top names, Giovanni Segura, Milan Malindo, Brian Valoria. Pros on him is the quality of opposition. There's no one in his division and division below, or even some of the guys above him that, aren't the best that he has faced. His only two losses are against Chocolatito Gonzalez and Juan Carlos Sanchez Jr., and they were both by decisions. The fact that he went the distance with Roman Gonzalez in a competitive fight, there's a right there that, should speak a lot about exactly how good he is, because not too many guys look good against Roman Gonzalez. Estrada has a quality jab. He punches and bunches, especially when coming in close. He fights tall, almost never gives up his range or smothers his punches. He also has one of my favorite punches that I haven't really seen since Nassim Hamed used to fight, and that's an uppercut when he comes in. He throws it right to the body, and he gets in this tight shell where he lets it out, and, you have no idea it's even coming. You think he's just coming in close, and he's trying to walk in, and all of a sudden he lets out this punch to the solar plex, surprises a lot of guys. The cons on Estrada is sometimes he waits for his opponents to get off first because he's focusing on counters. Considering he is a flyweight, Estrada's not the fastest fighter in the division. He also tends to drop his hands and use head movement when he should have his hands high to avoid shots. He rolls with punches a little bit too often. That's a bad habit I always felt for any fighter who uses it on a regular basis as a method of defense. You roll with fighters, you roll with punches one too many times, eventually one of them is going to get there, especially when you're in there against a faster opponent. The guy standing across from him, Ernan Tyson Marquez, this is a guy who just screams excitement. You were talking about Gaddy with Larry Hazard before. Even though he's no Arturo Gaddy, he does produce that same type of excitement. The pros on him is he never stops coming. Marquez is all about pressure, both to the body and the head. He has short chopping hooks that leave their impact. that leave whenever he lands them, that they leave damage. When he is in close, he's literally a small version of a young Mike Tyson. The way he plants his feet, he gets maximum power that generates from his legs on up. As a short fighter, even for the flyweight division, that's a style that suits him, and he does it well. Marquez is always in shape, and he can often overcome opponents because of his stamina and non-stop punching. More than once, it's dug him out of a hole in fights. The cons on him, Bill, is Marquez only knows that one style, and that's come forward pressure. While it has brought him his great success, it's also cost him his biggest wins. Again, something he has in common with Arturo Gatti. Marquez often gets a little too caught up in the war, forgets his defense, and that's when he is countered. That's what's cost him to be stopped 4 times out of his 5 losses, simply because he can't bring himself to let off the gas. Official pick here is Juan Francisco Estrada, an exciting, non-stop, action-packed fight. He has power. He's composed in the ring. Once Marquez gets reckless, Estrada's going to capitalize it and score the KO win. But I don't care who wins this fight. You know what? It's one you're not going to want to miss. It's going to top every other fight that's on this weekend, maybe even next too.
I agree with you. I love Tyson Marquez. But I'm going with Estrada myself. I think Marquez has been in some wars. He does take too many shots, and I think Estrada, like you said, is more refined, basically, and he could take a shot, too. If he can survive 12 rounds with Roman Gonzalez, I think he could survive the time with Tyson Marquez this weekend. But you can't write off Marquez. He's got to punch his chance. But like you, I'm going with Estrada.
And he is world class. He's unlike the other 2 fights. That is a world class opponent that Juan Francisco Estrada is taking on.
There's no doubt. Great job as usual, Dax. Before.